This is NHL Wraparound's playoff math and deadline strategies, an 8-part series with snapshots of all 32 teams coming out of the Olympic break and what their futures hold. This show, Part 1, Metropolitan Division, Carolina Hurricanes, Pittsburgh Penguins, New York Islanders, and the Columbus Blue Jackets. We're going to give you their current place in the standings, some scheduling notes, some personnel items, and then Neil's take on what these respective GMs should be doing given their position. So we're going to start with the Carolina Hurricanes, who are in first place in the Metro, 78 points, 8 points better than the second place Pittsburgh Penguins. They look solid to finish first in the Metro. They are also tied in points with the Tampa Bay Lightning for first in the conference, albeit they have played 2 more games. They have 2 games with the Lightning on February the 26th at home and then at Tampa on March the 14th. They also have 3 games left with Pittsburgh and 2 with the New York Islanders. I think the most intriguing piece here, Neil, is the goaltending. Because we have been doing this for over 2 years now. We have consistently remarked how Freddie Anderson wasn't going to be the guy. Maybe it was going to be Pyotr Kochetkov, but he is out for the season with an injury. And along came Brandon Bussi, who has done a terrific job for them. I think I would be comfortable going into the postseason with Bussi as my number one. What are you thinking from the GM perspective in Carolina?
I think they struck gold on Bussi. They didn't know it either. They picked him up on waivers from the Florida Panthers. He was making $775. They needed a goaltender to go in and help them with their injuries in net. Bussi went in, and all of a sudden, he couldn't lose for the Carolina Hurricanes. And there's one thing that's been the Hurricanes' Achilles heel in the last few years heading into the playoffs is we love their team and we hate their goaltending. That's been the case all the way along. So I think for the Carolina Hurricanes, they're going to continue to win their games. I don't see them going into a tailspin. I actually see them playing really well going down the stretch. And this may be the year that the Carolina Hurricanes can make it someplace in the playoffs if they can be carried by Bussi, who got a new contract, a 3-year deal, a good deal for him based on his short time in the NHL. But he's been lights out for them for the past month.
If you're Eric Tulsky, are there any other things that you want to do? You're probably not going to hit a home run. You're probably not even looking to do that at the deadline. Your only UFAs are Mark Jankowski and Mike Riley. They're not going to bring much back, if anything. So from Tulsky's perspective, is this just a situation that you're just trying to add the depth pieces, maybe a bottom 6 forward or 2, maybe a 7th or 8th defenseman?
I think whatever Rod Brindamore feels that he needs support in, whatever position that he feels the depth isn't just quite enough, that's where you got to go and get somebody for the coach. Other than that, I think you keep going on and see if this is going to be the year for the Carolina Hurricanes to get the goaltending and make it out of the first and second round.
Let's talk some Pittsburgh Penguins here. And we come out of the Olympics, and we have to have concerns about Sidney Crosby, who was not able to play the semifinal or the gold medal game. They are currently second in the Metropolitan, 8 points behind the Hurricanes, 1 point ahead of the New York Islanders, but 5 points clear for a playoff berth. They have 3 games left with the Hurricanes, 2 with Boston and Washington. They're at the Islanders on March 30th. But I think first and foremost, if they make the playoffs, and this, like Boston, Penguins were a team that we didn't think had a shot this year. And if they make the postseason, Sidney Crosby is going to be a candidate for MVP. But if this is a guy that couldn't go for the last 2 Olympic Games, given his legacy, and of course the overtime hero in 2010, I don't want to think that this is something more significant than just a minor injury here.
I don't think that it is a significant injury because of everything that was said about the way that he got a lot of advice and before he decided that he couldn't play in the gold medal game. This is nothing like the LA Kings are facing, losing Kevin Fiala. He may miss a game when Pittsburgh comes back to play. But I got to tell you, Dan Muse is got to be up for the Coach of the Year award, the Jack Adams Award. Done a tremendous job there, taking over from Mike Sullivan, who went on to the New York Rangers and just also coached the Team USA to the gold medal. Pittsburgh is one of the shocker teams of the season. They're in a playoff position. It doesn't look like they're going to fall out of that. They're not winning on luck. They've been playing well this year, and I just see them continuing on their plan, which is, trying to compete while they get younger. We didn't think it could be done, and I still don't think it can be done. But for this season, they've had a good year.
What intrigues me about them is that this is a team that is still built around three older players: Crosby, Genny Malkin, and Chris Letang. And we haven't talked a lot about Kyle Dubas all season. He's got a ton of UFAs, including Malkin, Kevin Hayes, Anthony Mantha, who has done a great job for them this year. Noel Acciari, Connor Dewar, defenseman Connor Clifton, and Brett Kulak, as well as goaltender Stu Skinner. This team has 25 picks in the next 3 drafts and 15 in rounds 1 through 3. And they had 13 picks last year. I'm kind of at a loss here of you're building around 3 superstars, but they're all getting close to 40 years old, and you've got all these assets. So as good as this has been for the Penguins, and I think Dubas has done a good job in certain areas, Igor Chinnikov has played well for them coming in from Columbus, but there's a lot of stuff here.
There's certainly a lot of stuff, and the team does revolve around 3 former superstars, not today's superstars. I will say that Crosby still plays like a superstar, but they've also got Erik Karlsson in that superstar status. Either you want to say it's formerly or presently, but they got a lot of stuff, as you said. And I think their coaching staff has done a great job taking all that stuff and putting it into a shape and getting it out there and winning hockey games. It's been a remarkable job that they have done this season.
Let's take a look at the New York Islanders, who were 3rd in the Metro, 69 points, 1 behind Pittsburgh, although they have played 2 more games. They are 4 points clear of Columbus, 4 wild card position. So as of now, they're in relatively good shape. They've had 2 7-game road trips this season. They come out of the break with 6 out of 7 on the road, but they do finish with 10 of 12 at home. Key games, 3 with Montreal, 2 with Boston and Columbus, and they play against Buffalo at home on March 5th and against the Penguins at home on March 30th. For first-year GM Matthew Darche, he's got several UFAs on his club, including Captain Anders Lee, G.Pageau, Carson Soucy, who we picked up from the Rangers, Tony DeAngelo, backup goaltender David Riddick. It's amazing to me that with the club that this team has, in terms of some of their offensive pop, they are still 30th on the power play, although this year they have improved in penalty killing to 8th. How does Darche get his team into the postseason?
Well, one good break for the GM and for the coach is that their team will be well rested coming back from the break. Only one player playing in the Olympics, Bo Horvat, who was on Team Canada, played very well, by the way. But everybody else of their top players, Ilya Sorokin and others, Matthew Schaefer, the youngster, the 18-year-old, these guys all rested during this Olympic break. So that's a good news for them. They start 6 of 7 on the road, as you said. They go right onto the road from the Olympic break. They don't play at home. But that finish to their season is amazing. All they do is stick around Long Island and play 10 out of their last 12 at home. So they should be able to make some points there. What do you do with Anders Lee, Pageau, D'Angelo, Riddick. I guess it all depends on how your team is playing. It's going to be tough. I think Anders Lee and Pageau will want to stay on the island, so I think they'll probably take a hometown discount to stay there. I don't know if they're going to keep Susie, D'Angelo. Riddick has played well for them, in my view, this year, backing up Sorokin. But again, like a lot of teams, they're going to have to see how they do coming out of this break. This road trip, 6 out of 7 on the road, is going to really tell a story for them.
Here's another story. How about the Columbus Blue Jackets, who entered the break and probably didn't want the break to happen because they were on a 7-game winning streak and 10-1 since Rick Bowness took over for Dean Evison. They are 4 points behind Boston for the second wild card. They do have a game in hand. Key games, 3 with the Bruins, 3 with the Hurricanes, 2 with Florida, 2 with Montreal, 2 with the Islanders. And they also have a bunch of UFAs. Charlie Coyle, Mason Marchment, Captain Boone Jenner, Eric Goodbranson, and Brendan Smith, who is on IR right now. So this is an interesting spot for GM Don Waddell because the team is playing so well. They feel that they've got some traction, and yet they've got a lot of parts that other teams might be looking for.
Absolutely. And, give Don Waddell all the credit in the world for making the coaching change. And I don't like to say that about a guy getting fired. But when he changed from Dean Evison to Rick Bowness, there was unbelievable the results they've gotten from Rick Bowness coaching the Columbus Blue Jackets. But again, for Columbus, if they can keep this thing going and get into the playoffs, it'll be great for them. Because, again, you're talking with Columbus, as with Pittsburgh, who missed the last 3 years in a row, as with Detroit, as with others, that, you know what, it's a playoff drought. The Buffalo Sabres was the team I was going to recall. But you want to break that drought. You don't want to break your plan, but you want to break that drought and give your fans some hope.
I do believe the Blue Jackets have the opponents that they need on their schedule to either make or break their season, with those 3 games against the Bruins and 2 others with the New York Islanders. That will wrap up NHL playoff math and deadline strategies for Metropolitan Division Part 1. We have 7 other shows just like this, so check them out.